Hey, it's Daryl. Team Common is currently working on our transition to a weekly show. We'll be back this summer with new episodes. In the meantime, here's one from our archives.
WBUR Podcasts, Boston.
I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and you're listening to The Common. All right, so one thing about me is I am a proud transit nerd. You might have picked that up in a previous episode, or you might have seen some of my work at WBUR before The Common when I covered transportation. This enthusiasm for transit is what drew me to one of Boston's biggest TikTok creators at the moment, Jedio1, otherwise known as Jed.
Hello, welcome to Adventures with Jed, aka what I do to entertain myself while my wife is away.
His videos are pretty straightforward. In each episode, he picks a T-line and rides it to somewhere in Greater Boston, like Wonderland or Oak Grove. And what makes these videos so fun is his dry, deadpan humor.
Today we're going to take the Red Line to Ashmont, and in honor of going to Ashmont, I've brought with me my wife's ashes. I'm just kidding. My wife is alive and well. She's just on a business trip this week.
You hear what I mean. But anyway, a little while back, Jed agreed to let us tag along on one of his adventures. So we met up with him on a sunny, late summer afternoon in the Longwood Medical area. All right, so we're standing here on the Brigham Circle T-stop with TikTok sensation Jed.
Happy to be here.
Who is going to take us on one of his journeys for his series, Adventures with Jed. And we are headed to, where are we headed to, Jed?
We're headed to Heath Street, the end of the E branch.
Can I ask you why? What's your interest in Heath Street?
It's one of the few branches that I haven't gone to the end of yet.
Now, we had a little time to kill while we waited for the Green Line trolley. So I asked Jed about how he started his TikTok channel.
I've liked trains my whole life. I would ride them around with my mom when I was little. I grew up in Maryland, and my earliest memories are going up on the Amtrak to visit my grandparents in Connecticut. And I used to go for fun when we were on vacation. I'd always insist on riding some train somewhere, riding the bus even. So I always found it enjoyable. But now that I live in Boston, my wife is always traveling for work and for school. I had been wanting to ride the train to the end of the line, particularly the end of the Green Line at Riverside, the D branch, because it looked like it went so far away from everywhere else. So I was telling my wife for months, come ride this with me. I just want to see what's there. And she kept saying, no, Jed, no one wants to do that. Why would you do that? And then one time she was gone and I had nothing else to do. So I decided to document it just for myself. And then I wrote it out. I uploaded to TikTok and it got a few tens of thousands of views. Wow. So worked out.
And, you know, Jed's been doing pretty well for himself. He's currently got over 37,000 followers, and he's also done a few paid partnerships with some regional businesses like Nobi Apartments, Cape Cod Select Cranberries, and Dunkin'. Despite this success, though, he has not let fame go to his head. Do people recognize you whenever you have the mask off?
Oh, sometimes they do. Even sometimes with the mask on, they recognize me. I think it's the voice, and sometimes the fact that I'm talking to a camera or talking to my phone on public transit.
So you're kind of a local celebrity.
I wouldn't go that far. Maybe someday.
Okay, now the train is pulling up. The Green Line E trolley headed to Heath Street. Our train was pretty noisy, which was not great for recording, but I had to get Jed's opinion of the MBTA while we waited for our stop. So what's your take on the T altogether?
That's a loaded question. I like the T a lot. I think it's a really convenient way to get around the city, and Boston's the first kind of city I lived in that has a pretty solid transit network like this. So I like it.
All right, so that may be kind of a political answer, but I guess it is a reminder to appreciate transit as a public good, even if it is the T. Because for all its faults, it's convenient enough for us to take a trip like this one. All right, hold on for a sec. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with the rest of our adventure with Jed.
Did you kill Marlene Johnson?
I think you're one of the first people to have actually asked.
From WBUR and ZSP Media, this is Beyond All Repair, a new podcast about an unsolved murder that will leave you questioning everything.
Somebody should be in jail for murdering my sister.
A woman who's never been believed.
As long as they think I have done this, then they're not looking for who actually did this.
And that's what makes it a cold case.
No, it's a botched case.
And a search for the truth, once and for all.
Wow, it just gets more interesting.
Beyond All Repair. Listen and follow wherever you get your podcasts.
Be careful. You're digging in a place that's been very peaceful for a while.
Do it anyway. Dig.
We're now at the Heath Street station. There's a turnaround where the trains go, and there's lots of overhead wires. There's a couple apartment buildings, some empty parking lots, and some dilapidated looking buildings in the back. And that's about it.
So, first impressions.
Not my favorite end of the line. Doesn't seem like there's a lot going on here. But it's peaceful.
While there may not have been a lot to see at the Heath Street station itself, we learned that Olmsted Park in Jamaica Plain was just a short walk away. We wanted to see some of the sights like Leverett Pond, but first, we made a stop along the way at Angel Animal Medical Center.
On the way to the lake, I came across this animal shelter. Probably one of the largest in Boston. My cat knew Rachel came from an animal shelter, so this location has a special place in my heart.
Now, his cat is named after his wife, Old Rachel. Anyway, we eventually made it to Olmsted Park in Leverett Pond. So we took the Green Line to Heath Street. We went on this walk, on this search to find this lake. We found it. Jed, tell me what you're seeing.
I see a serene-looking lake, very calm water, the sunset setting over it, and I hear lots of birds and crickets.
How much does this satisfy you?
It's a solid 7 out of 10. I feel very peaceful right now.
So, now that you've had the full Heath Street experience, what's your final assessment?
I was pleasantly surprised by Heath Street. Initially, I thought there was nothing there. But we wandered a little further, and it turns out there's a beautiful lake and a nice animal shelter that reminded me of my cat. So overall, it was a great time.
And so of all the adventures, what would you say was your favorite, and what would you say is your least favorite?
I think it was circumstantial, but my least favorite was probably going to Wonderland because it's a beach, and I chose to go on a day where it was 40 degrees outside and freezing. My favorite was probably Oak Grove because I actually enjoyed that hike that I found quite a bit. I think Heath Street's somewhere in the middle.
Okay, that's a step up from the first impression.
Yeah.
And then it was time to go home. We walked together to yet another Green Line stop before saying farewell. We're at the Riverway Green Line stop at South Huntington Avenue and Huntington Avenue. We just walked with Jed for an episode of his TikTok series, Adventures with Jed. Thank you so much for letting us tag along with you.
Thank you for having me. I had a blast.
And that concludes our adventure with Jed. You can see Jed's video about our trip to Heath Street and the rest of his adventures on TikTok at Jeddeo1, spelled Jeddeo1. And you can find us on Twitter at WBUR The Common, or send us an email at thecommon@wbur.org. Drop us a line, tell us how you're liking the show and what else you want to hear. And that's it for this week. Thanks as always for listening to The Common. I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and I'll catch you Monday.